Hello and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. We're diving into Mary Kay again today.
That rat think Mary Kay.
I do have a Mary Kay full deep dive coming up, so be on the lookout for that. But in this video, we are reacting to another team training, team huddle from a top Mary Kay leader, I believe. And so we're gonna get right into that. But first, let's play the disclaimer. Okay, now that that is out of the way, if you are not new here, you probably know that we have one more piece of housekeeping to run through. If you don't want to hear it, the chapters are listed in the description.
On to the next chapter.
You can skip ahead to the reaction part of this video by clicking on the timestamp in the description, or you can find it here on the bar, the bottom of the screen. It will say reaction starts here. But if you are new here, please listen up. I do not blur the names or the faces of the individuals that I am reacting to in my videos. This does not mean that I am encouraging anybody to seek these individuals out and send them hateful or mean messages or comments. Please don't do that. I am also not inciting hate toward these individuals. My content is never made maliciously or with hateful intent. My content is meant to be educational and most of all entertaining. So please, let's all do our part and keep it that way. And with that, we're gonna get the into it.
All right, well, we're going to go into tonight's training, and this is really to give you all hope. So this is one of those that I really pray that you will come back to again and again, and that it will bless you, you guys, that it will bless you, because I know that when you are determined to do something, you can do it. But I also know that all of us get frustrated, directors too, when we feel like we're not making progress. Anybody? Yeah.
Hey, amen.
Amen. So tonight's training is called How to Build Your Business When You're Out of Family and Friends. I would tell you that sometimes it feels like we're out of family and friends, and maybe we just haven't asked everybody, but we're just going to go with this tonight. I decided that I would take a look and print out for you some data because, I love to give you real numbers. And I thought I would take a look and just kind of see how many people have actually purchased from me this calendar year and where they came from, just to give you some hope. Some of you saw that I put in my promo for tonight that I have plenty of relatives who are not my customers. And so I thought, let me quantify this a little bit. So let me start with this fast fact. If you're telling yourself that it takes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of customers to make good money in Mary Kay, that is a lie. That is a myth. When Amanda Silvera was here a couple of weeks ago from Ruby Sales Development, she challenged all of us to sell $100 in product to 50 people between now and the end of the year, the calendar year, or to sell $50 to 100 people. Either way, it's 5,000 in sales. And that sounds like such a big number. And you might be telling yourself the lie that it takes tons of customers. So I pulled some numbers for you. This calendar year in 2023, I have had 114 people buy something from me, 114. And I have sold over $32,000 in product.
Why is your eye twitching?
Now that's only 114 people. And you guys, I have the numbers right here. The lowest purchase was $14.84. That's from one customer. My highest customer has spent over $2,100 with me this calendar year, and she just became my customer in March. But here's what I wanted to break down for you. That means that I have averaged $3,073 a month in sales and $1,536 profit. So I want you to write that down. $3,073 in sales per month, $1,536 profit. And I want you to just close your eyes and think for a second of where $1,500 extra dollars could go in your life. Okay, open your eyes. That goal that Amanda gave us to sell $5,000 by selling either 50 people $100 or 100 people $50, either way is going to build your customer base. And if I, after 21 years in business, have 114 people who've purchased from me this calendar year, and that's in 10 and a half months, I know you can do that too.
Okay, call me crazy, but is that a lot of people in 1 year? I mean, I guess I'm just thinking of basically big box stores, like how many people they have in a day, even just one store. But even like Sephora, that's also a big box store, I guess, but it's specific to makeup. I guess I never thought of that. But in 1 year, keep in mind that she has been a consultant for over 20 years. And sure, it's great that she has customers and she's making money and whatnot. But for 20 plus years, I feel like the number should be higher. But I've never been a retail business owner, so I don't know what numbers look like. If you are a retail business owner or have been a retail business owner, let us know. Like, does that feel like a good number or a bad number? I don't feel like it's great for 20 plus years. But also, that's not a lot of money. And I'm pretty sure she does this full time now at this stage. So how much comes from her team? Because $1,500 a month today is not very much money. It's not going to get you very far. If you're lucky, it might be your mortgage payment. And that's a big might.
So here's what I did. I printed the list and then I took a look at just at the top 25, you guys, because I was curious, where did those customers come from? And you might think, well, probably family. I mean, that's probably where most consultants get their best customers. And I'm going to tell you that has not been true for me. Have I sold things to my family over the years? Sure. But this calendar year, and bear in mind, you guys, that I have 2 stepsisters who have 6 children, half of whom are married, all but one of whom are in committed relationships. I have 3 married cousins with 11 children between them. I have a mother and I have a stepmother-in-law. I have 4 sisters-in-law and 4 nieces. And out of all of those people, my mother is the only one in my entire family who has bought any product from me this calendar year. And get ready, hold on to your hat. It was a whopping $172. Ooh, ah. So if you're telling yourself, well, I just don't have a big family and I just don't have that many customers because I don't have a big family, that is a lie. So where did Brittany's top 25 customers come from? Well, I told you I had 114 who've bought anything at all in 2023. Here's where the top 25 have come from. Church friend, website referral from Mary Kay. Me, I'm one of my good customers. Another church friend, a referral from a customer, somebody I warm chatted years ago, a referral from someone who was a past consultant who wasn't even in our unit, but had a customer she needed someone to take care of. Another church friend, a guest at a party, another website referral, another church friend, a guest at a party held by a church friend, a guest from my podcast, a referral from the website, a guest at a party, a church friend, our cleaning lady, a referral from the website, someone I met at a vendor event, a former consultant in our unit who's now my customer, a guest at a double facial, a referral from a website, a guest at a party. So those are just the top 25. So I broke it down and I want you to literally write this down for me tonight. Really, it's for you, but I want you to write this down.
Are you writing this down? Will you please write this down?
That's 25 customers. That's 10 different ways they came to me. 10 different ways. One of them in my family. One. And she's not even in the top 25. So really, we're not even going to count that. So 10 different ways I met those top 25 customers. A former consultant was one. 10 of them were friends from church or guests at a party hosted by a friend from church. 5 were referred to me by the Mary Kay website. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. 2 were referrals from people at parties. 1 was me. Balloons for me again. There we go. 1 was someone I warm chatted years ago.
Is that something new Zoom does? Like when you say party, now I have to go on Zoom to see if it does it. I tried it on my Zoom and it unfortunately didn't work. That would be so cool. Anyway, I don't know. I guess whenever she says party, balloons show up. It's kind of funny.
1 a guest on my podcast, 1 my cleaning lady, 1 from a vendor event, and 2 were guests at appointments. How, you might wonder, do you get referrals from the Mary Kay website? There are 2 ways. When someone goes to the Mary Kay website because they're looking for a consultant or they lost their consultant and they need someone to get their product from, they can type in their zip code and be referred to a consultant. And here's how you get on that list. You can try this. You can go to marykay.com and put in your own zip code and try it. Probably a lot of you have. The company refers first to people who are star consultants in your zip code. Why? Because they want to know that if they're sending you basically free business, that you are actually working your business and can take care of them. And if you're a star consultant, that says to the company, well, she's averaging at least 300 a week in sales. She's working her business and she probably has product on hand if she's a star. So that's who comes up first in that list. There will be 10 options. And research shows that if you have your photo on your website, you're more likely to get chosen from that list. So be a star consultant. This is why we put so much emphasis in our unit on being a star, because it gets you free business. I have been a star every single quarter of my entire Mary Kay career. Always 21 and a half, almost 22 years, every single quarter. So yes, 5 of my top 25 customers were handed to me on a silver platter by Mary Kay. Now listen to this. One of them has spent almost $1,500 with me this calendar year. Here's another one who has spent over $650 with me this calendar year. Here's another one who's spent over $400. Here's another one who's spent $350. And here's another one who spent $325 and hosted a party for me. That was a $1,300 party this calendar year. You guys, that doesn't mean all 5 of them were referred to me this calendar year. I'm just talking about their purchases this calendar year. 5 really good customers. And remember, you get to pick 5 zip codes you want to be searchable in. So be a star. Superstar. Because if there are stars in your zip code, the referrals are going to them first, as well it should be. If for some reason there aren't stars in your zip code, and for those of you who live in more rural areas, that's possible, less populous, places, then after the company looks to see if there are any stars in that zip code, then they just go to the next tier, which is any consultants in that zip code. Way back when I started my business, some of you may not know this, the company would only, when someone did a zip code search, pop up one name. And you won't believe me when I tell you this, but I swear on my life it's true. The reason they started giving a list of 10 is because they were hearing from customers that they would reach out to the consultant they were matched with, if you will, through the zip code search, and the consultant didn't get back to them. I know. And so the company thought, wow, we need to come up with a way to make sure that we are referring to people who are actually working. And so that's why they said, let's refer to stars and let's give people a list of 10.
That's always an interesting thing to me. Scentsy does something similar. They'll only show you a lead and above consultant, which means they have at least one team member below them. The other reason I find it interesting is because a lot of times when people are trying to get you to join their MLM, they'll tell you it's not oversaturated purely based on the fact that you can search on the consultant finder and it only shows you a certain amount. So if somebody doesn't know, which I didn't know this, that Mary Kay partakes in similar behavior when it comes to searching for consultants. If somebody didn't know this and they were thinking about being a Mary Kay consultant and they went to search how many consultants are in their area, and take me for example, I live in a city, so if I only saw 10 consultants, I'd be like, oh, there might be a market here since there's only 10 and there's a ton of people in this city. So it's just a little deceiving for me to use that as a tactic to recruit people and tell people that these areas are not saturated. And I know there are people who utilize this same tactic within Mary Kay when they're trying to recruit people. So I definitely hope that you are learning something new while watching this, and you can be sure not to fall for the
just search in your area and see how many consultants there are
trap.
It's a trap!
Stay out of that trap, please.
Because if a customer is looking for a consultant, she wants to buy. People don't just randomly wake up in the morning and go, I think I'll find a Mary Kay consultant today. They've either lost their consultant or they've seen an ad for our product, or one of the people on my top 25 list called me just a couple of weeks ago and said her daughter in Maryland had been to a Mary Kay party, tried the product, loved the product, raved about the product, and she wanted to try it too. I find it interesting that her daughter didn't refer the mom to her own consultant, but I guess she wanted someone local. So yay, I went, I had a facial with her. She bought the ultimate repair set. Wow. So just bear that in mind. But my point is, out of my top 25 customers, 10 different ways they all came to me. So that brings me to my next point. You want to keep records of where your customers are coming from. So I want you to drop in the chat right now. I'm going to take a peek here at the chat box. I want you to drop in the chat where some of your best customers come from. Are they from your work? Are they from your family? Are they neighbors? Are they friends from church? Where have you found some of your best customers? And you can just drop that in the chat and we're going to watch what people pop in there. But this is what I'm willing to bet you guys, is that we're going to see lots of answers. Just like me. I've got former consultants who are customers, people from church, guests at parties, website referrals, referrals from customers, warm chats, my cleaning lady, vendor events, guests at appointments. There are lots of ways. There you go. See, they're all popping up in there. You guys, lots of ways that we find our customers. So if you are telling yourself the lie that you don't know a lot of people, out of these top 25, I'm going to tell you right now how many of them I knew when I started my business. None.
How much you want to bet she didn't even read the names? She didn't even read the damn names. She just went like this.
None. Zero of these people did I know. And that's because a business is like a house.
Now there's hearts. Somebody tell me how I could get this on my Zoom. This is unfair that she has all of these things happening in her Zoom calls and I can't figure it out.
You've got to build it. You don't just walk into it. You have to build it. So if you are telling yourself the lie that you're not good at this or you can't find customers, it isn't true. We're here to bust that myth like a balloon tonight. And I'm going to teach you how to build a big, juicy, wonderful, loyal, lifelong customer base. Will all your customers stay with you forever? No. But the longer they stay with you is a function of how well you love on them. Okay. So if I have customers just in my top 25 from 10 different ways, I'm willing to bet that your big, juicy customer base is going to be built different ways as well. So some of the things we're seeing in the chat are family in Michigan, ladies from work, website referrals, some in a state you used to live in, church friends, your mom,
Your mom.
Your mom.
I need to go to timeout.
You're acting so immature.
Straight to jail. If you're new here, welcome. I have the maturity of a 12-year-old boy. Not all the time, just sometimes.
friends of friends, friends of family members, party guests, referrals from former consultants, neighbors. Yes, but sometimes we need to think out of the box. So here's what I encourage all new consultants to do at their welcome appointment. And some of you just had your welcome appointment this year and you remember this. So draw 5 circles on your sheet of paper in your notebook. I call this your circles of influence. Most of us have at least 5 circles of people we are connected to in our day-to-day life. So for instance, just this weekend, I saw that Maureen Mike from our unit was away on a girls' weekend in DC. And I texted her tonight and I said, hey, I'm curious, those women that you were on the trip with, there are 4 of them. How do you know them? And she texted me back and she said, I'll read you what she said to me. She said, 2 of them I knew from work and our customers, 2 are not, although they've bought things at the holidays before. So you guys, there's a good example. Think about who you're spending time with. A couple weeks ago, I saw Mo and she was in some pictures with a women's organization she belongs to. That is a circle. So right now on your paper, just lickety split, I want you to write down 5 groups of people you're connected to. Who are you spending your time with? In my life today, it would be people I know from church, people in my church small group. It would be neighbors. We go out to dinner. We call it neighbor night. We go out to dinner about every other month with our neighbors, people in my family. But when I started my business, those were not my circles. When I started my business, it was people I worked with at the hospital. It was people I used to work with at the TV station. It was neighbors. And it was people in 2 different alumni organizations that I was part of. And then, of course, family. Your circles will change. A great example of that is for those of you who have kids, think back to when your kids were small. You probably were close to people who were in the same life space that you were, who also had small children. Now, my son is a senior in high school. I don't have a lot of very close friends. I have some, but not a lot, who have very small children because that's not the life space that I'm in. But I can also tell you that when I worked at the hospital, I was in a networking group. And when I quit that job, I stopped representing the hospital in that networking group and I started representing my Mary Kay business in that networking group. Now, I'm not in a networking group today. So the point is, this is an exercise, your circles of influence that you want to do about every 6 or 12 months. Your circles will change. They will change. Great example is what we heard tonight. Laura Riley lived in Tennessee. When Laura lived in Tennessee, she lived in a different neighborhood. She went to a different church. Now Laura lives in New Jersey and she lives in an over 55 community and she has those neighbors and she's part of a different church and she lives in an entirely different state and she lives close to 2 daughters, one of whom is also a Mary Kay consultant.
What the did you just say?
She fucking recruited her daughter? What's wrong with the world today? Please, for the love of everything, do not recruit your kids into an MLM scam.
Is a veterinary anesthetist and is not a Mary Kay consultant. So you guys, we're constantly evolving in life. Those 2 alumni groups that I was an officer in and deeply involved in when I started my business, I am not an active participant in either of them at all now. But I am doing things like mentoring high school students at my church. I am doing things like serving on the elder board at my church. I live in a completely different neighborhood. In fact, I've lived in 3 different neighborhoods since I started my business. So always go back to your circles of influence. Okay, so next. I find that sometimes consultants are reluctant to build their business with their friends and family. I know it sounds weird, but how many of you would rather work with strangers? Yeah, sometimes we're like, oh, do I have to talk to my friends and family because we're so worried about what they're going to think? You know, I was a little bit like that when I started my business. I thought, oh, my own mother, you guys. This is what she said when I told her I started my business. And she loves me, but this is what she said. Oh, honey, you have a college degree and you're going to sell lipstick? And I remember going, I have to go. I have to get off the phone.
How dare you?
I was so heartbroken. She didn't get it. And your friends and family may not either. And so it is okay if you'd rather work with strangers, but don't overlook the people in your family. You know, Michelle was saying there, half her family sucks. Here's the deal. My family doesn't suck. They're just not interested. I mean, my sister-in-law gave me Bobbi Brown products for Christmas for years after I started my business. I literally looked at her one year and said, you understand what it is I do, right? She's like, well, yeah, but it's not like that's all you use, is it? And I go,
But I'm wearing a pound of Mary Kay.
yeah, that's exactly what it's like. That's all I use, Mary Kay.
Because if she went against Mary Kay and used Bobbi Brown instead, she would be betraying her cult, in my opinion. The pink Cadillac cult. Also, somebody in the chat of this call is saying their family sucks. That feels misplaced. Why are we putting that in a Mary Kay training call? I'm sorry that people are having issues with their family. And also, I'd like to know if it's purely on the fact that they won't buy your Mary Kay or join your Mary Kay team, then maybe that's a sign that you should step back and evaluate what you're actually doing. Because a lot of times, I was one of these people when I was in Scentsy. People in my family and people close to me would be like,
isn't that a pyramid scheme?
And they would try and shine the lights on the things that I wasn't seeing that now I see. So maybe that could be why that individual is thinking that their family sucks at this very moment. But if you are that individual and for whatever reason you're watching this video, I would recommend considering listening to the family members that are telling you things about Mary Kay because they're likely true. If that's not the case and you're just airing out your dirty laundry on this Mary Kay call, then I'm sorry, but also not the time or place.
So here's the problem when you work with strangers. You have to know your ABCs. We've talked before, but I'm going to revisit quickly what we call our ABC lead list. A leads are people you know. They're people from those circles of influence who perhaps you just haven't asked. When I look at your Facebook pictures at all the different events you do and the girlfriend trips you take and the organizations you're part of and the people you're out to dinner with and socializing with, my brain always goes to, if you're spending your time with those people, are they spending any of their money with you?
What the
And I don't mean that in a transactional way, but what I mean is all people spend their money somewhere. If they're willing to spend time with you, if they're choosing to spend time with you, don't you think it kind of makes sense? They might be willing to spend their money with you on products they're buying anyway. So quickly, ABC leads.
No, if somebody is spending their time with you, they're not going to be like, yeah, definitely, I'll buy your makeup. No, they're your friend, your family, your business acquaintance, whatever it is, but they're not spending time with you just to purchase shit from you. If I ever felt like my friend was only spending time with me with the agenda of either recruiting me to her team or me buying her products, I would immediately be like, okay, I see who you are and I'm leaving now. And so I have a hard time believing that other people aren't going to pick up on that. That might be one of the worst pieces of advice I've ever heard. Don't have a hidden agenda with your lifelong friends or anything like that, or family members. Please. God, no.
Leads are people you know. You have a warm relationship with them. B leads are people that you meet because of the A people. So if you're If your coworker is on your A list and you see her every single day and she introduces you to her cousin is on the B list. You met the cousin because of person A. And then C leads are random people you meet. The waitress who takes great care of you at a restaurant and you offer her your business card. Or just today I had a consultant, she's traveling with her husband for his business, and she met a woman at a hotel and gave her a little goodie bag. That's a C lead. That's just someone completely, C could stand for completely random. You just happen to meet them. Out of my top 25, how many of those people did I have? I had one person who was a warm chat. I met her in an office that my husband used to work in. I went in and handed out goodie bags to the people there, and that's how I met. And she's one of my very best customers. This year alone, she has spent almost $800 with me. Okay, next. When I looked at my top 25 customers to see how many were A's and how many were B's and how many were C's, shockingly, it was pretty evenly divided. About 8 of them were A people, about 8 of them were B people, and the rest were C's. There was the person I warm chatted. There were the people the company referred to me through the website. I did not know those people. So those are C leads. You could say they stand for cold leads. There's no warm relationship there. Okay, next. You guys, please write this down.
She did this in the other trainings too. Like she'd emphasize, please write this down.
We have to take the emotion out of this business. If your boss at work asks you, for those of you who have jobs, to do something, a task, I need you to call this patient and check in on how they're doing after their surgery. I need you to call this customer and see if they need to order some more paper for their copier.
I need paper.
You wouldn't get emotional about it if you got their voicemail. You wouldn't get emotional about it if they didn't call you back. You wouldn't get emotional about it if they said, we really have enough copy paper right now. I don't need any today.
This isn't under Mifflin paper.
Why then do we get so emotional about it when it's our own business? I know it's because we care so much. We want to succeed. Here's the thing. Don't let the fact that you're feeling emotional be a bad thing. Let it be a sign.
Is it that? Or is it that the people you're referring to, the people who are calling and checking on patients, or people who are calling to see if they need copy paper, the likelihood of those individuals that you're referring to counting on people answering that call and ordering from them, they don't count on that. They're there doing their job and they're either getting salary or hourly. I mean, they care that the person didn't answer, but they don't care as much as these people, because in Mary Kay, you're counting on that person picking up the phone and saying, yes, they need to make an order in order to even potentially make $1. Whereas these other people that you're referring to are getting paid no matter what.
Of, wow, I really care about this Mary Kay thing more than I thought I did, because otherwise I wouldn't be getting so emotional. But where it can hurt you is where you let the emotions get the best of you. So I'm going to be posting in our unit Facebook group, and we'll do a deeper dive on this another time, this really great little graphic that I was showing to a consultant the other day. And it's this little wheel of emotions. And it's just talking about how we all go through these different wheels of emotions. Now I'm trying to find it. Probably put it in my favorites here. All right, well, I'll find it. But anyway, it talks about how when you start your business, you're so excited. And then you move into the next phase and the next phase. And we all go through this emotional cycle of, I'm excited. I'm a little let down. Now I'm disappointed. Now I'm depressed. Now I'm doggone it. I'm mad. I'm determined. I'm going to be excited again. And the sign of a leader and an emotionally healthy person is how quickly you cycle through the emotional wheel. You guys, we are human beings, and we are always being some particular way. We're being excited. We're being disappointed. We're being frustrated. We're being emotional. But you can't be in that downward side of the spiral for too long before it starts to take a toll on you, not just in your Mary Kay business, in your life. And so the very best thing you can do, and most of you are really good about this, is reach out to me. You know, I joke that I don't have a crystal ball. I have no idea how you're thinking or feeling unless you tell me. None. Sometimes I can gauge it based on your Facebook posts, but I don't have time to sit there and spiral through Facebook day after day after day and go, well, I wonder how so-and-so is doing. Let me check her Facebook wall. I don't. But you guys, I bet most people could tell how you're doing by reading your Facebook wall too. So this is what I want you to know. One of the greatest gifts that will come out of your Mary Kay Starter Kit is the ability to learn to be an emotionally healthy person. And I fully respect that many people come from backgrounds where they have not learned that in their life. They have not. They've not had it modeled for them. They don't work in a work environment where it's healthy emotionally. In fact, some of you work in places you've told me are toxic. And so I can tell you that this, for me, has been one of the healthiest environments in which I've ever worked. I've met women who pray with me and pray for me. I've met mentally healthy, emotionally stable women and leaders. Does it mean we're all like that? No. Like any company, there might be a few cuckoos out there. Okay. But I think we attract people who are mentally healthy and emotionally stable. And I can certainly tell you that the people who are not that way don't stay in Mary Kay. Because when you are in an environment that is filled with positivity and light and hope and belief, and you are an air sucker, you're only going to be able to suck air for so long before you realize the balloon's not getting any smaller. Everyone here is filling it with such positivity that if you're not a positive person, you end up going away.
Is it that, or is it that people can tell the difference sometimes between toxic positivity and positivity? Because what you're describing is toxic positivity. If no negativity is ever allowed, no questioning, nothing that would entice somebody to say something negative, that's a problem. That's toxic positivity. If they can never ask a question that might result in a negative answer, toxic positivity. That's what the issue is. I just can't with these people. They're in some kind of pink fucking bubble.
And that's okay. I hope everybody, comes into Mary Kay for a season of their life. But this is what I know. If you will legitimately reach out to me, your mentor, your director, for support and tell me what you're thinking and feeling, I can help you. I really can. I promise you I can. I have 21 and a half years, almost 22 of experience doing this. And I learned it from the women in Mary Kay. They didn't teach me this in journalism school, y'all. They didn't teach me this in high school. A little bit of it I've learned at my church. 99% of it I've learned in Mary Kay. And it feels so much better to be a mentally healthy, emotionally stable, faith-filled, hopeful, believing kind of person than someone who's depressed, down, toxic, gossipy. Blah. Who wants that?
You sound like an idiot.
Does she know depression is an actual medical condition? Because who's going to tell her? So if somebody has depression, you're just like, I'm kicking you off my team. And yes, I love gossip. So here I am. That's why I'm not in Mary Kay.
I know none of you do, because you notice when you're in an environment that's like that and you want to get out of there. And that means you're not part of it. That means you can separate yourself from it. Doesn't mean we don't all fall victim to it sometimes. But sometimes when our businesses aren't growing, it's because of who we're hanging around. Have you heard the expression, you become like the 5 people you hang around the most? Let that soak in while I cough here for a second. It's true. And I used to work in a toxic workplace, and I'd walk in and everybody was bummed, and Mondays always sucked because people were nasty and mean, and they lived for Friday. They lived to get out of there at the end of the day, every day. And that is awful, you guys. So let Mary Kay be the place that fills you up. Okay. So the point of all of that so far tonight was we have to have different kinds of lead generating sources. If you are telling yourself the myth that friends and family are going to be your entire customer base, we've learned from me, and I have a lovely family. You would love them if you met them. They're lovely people. They're just not my customers. What you gonna do? It's sad for their skin, really. It's sad. But I don't dislike them. I'm not mad at them. Okay, so
Your skin sucks because you're not my customer. Their skin is probably better off than if they were using Mary Kay. I tried Mary Kay one time and it was the worst. It was almost like, I don't know if you've ever used Wet n Wild makeup, but that's like the makeup that kids play with a lot. The Wet n Wild like eyeshadow or powder stuff that would just come right off as soon as you like moved. That's what Mary Kay was like for me. Awful.
So here's what I did. I pulled some data tonight on, okay, well then Brittany, if that's true, what did you do to build your business from the beginning? Because I know sometimes you look at me and go, yeah, you've been around forever. You've got a big juicy client base. You've built a business for a long time. What did you do in the beginning when you were where I am? Or what did you do when you were at a place where you didn't have enough customers and you wanted more? Well, here's what I did. I looked back and I thought about, where did my customers come from in my first year? And so this is what I can tell you. I wrote this down. My initial circles of influence were family. See how that turned out. Work friends. Out of my top 25, none of those people are my work friends. Neighbors, college friends, childhood friends. Out of that top 25 list, none of these people fall in any of those groups. None. Now, maybe initially some of them did. My very first customer ever was my grandmother. She bought an age-fighting moisturizer. I remember being so thrilled. She was literally my very first purchase. She mailed me a check in the mail, in an envelope with a stamp. But this is what I also did in my first year. I got bookings from bookings. You guys, when I had an appointment, my number one focus was bookings. And so what I spoke about at the very beginning of that party, always, and you should too. Every appointment you hold, the first thing you should talk about is the next appointment. Ladies, I'm so excited you're here today. You're going to try the very best skincare on the planet. In fact, Mary Kay was just named the #1 direct seller of skincare and color in the world. And so we're going to try just a little bit of color today. But at your follow-up appointment, you're going to get together with me for a custom color makeover. And a little bit later, I'm going to tell you how you can shop at that appointment, 50% off for everything you want. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Right away, I talk about the follow-up. If you have held skincare appointments and not booked color follow-ups and you're beating yourself up about it, I would invite you to ask yourself, did I, front and center, talk about the follow-up appointment at the beginning? And then, did I talk about it throughout the appointment? Did I pepper it in? Find ways to say, now today we're trying lip gloss, but at your follow-up appointment, you're also going to get to try our incredible lipstick. At your follow-up appointment, you're going to get to be custom matched with foundation. At your follow-up appointment, every time you're trying something, it's an opportunity to say, and at your follow-up appointment, and at your follow-up appointment, and I'm not making this up. I can remember Maria, one of my first hostesses, her home was small. And so when I went to sit with people for the individual consultation, I was sitting on a bed in the guest room and people would come in and meet with me. And I remember one after another, they'd come in and they'd have their little papers and they'd say,
That sounds like a different kind of party.
Such a child.
I'm sorry, I can't help it. I can help the way I am.
well, I'm definitely going to book that follow-up appointment. But today I think I'll take home. Why do you think that was? It was because I talked about what I wanted. So if you are not booking from bookings, oh my goodness, are you missing the boat? You guys, I would rather have come away from an appointment with less sales and a handful of bookings than higher sales and no bookings. Why? The bookings are what perpetuate and keep our business flowing. I know you know that makes sense. Warm chatting. I remember that occasionally when I worked at the hospital, I got to go out to lunch on my lunch break. And I remember one of the first times I warm chatted, I was having lunch with my adopted director and she had parked her pink Cadillac outside and I was terrified. And at the end of the meal, I said to the waitress, you've taken such good care of me today. I would love to do something for you. I don't even know how I came up with that, but it just popped out of my mouth. And that sounds pretty good even 21 years later. So write that down. And she's like, oh, and I said, I'm with Mary Kay. I would love to treat you to a free facial and makeover. That's all I said. And she was just like, oh, that sounds fun. And I said, well, great. I know you're working right now. Let me just get your name and number and I'll give you a ring later and set it up.
A lot of us have been in this position when Mary Kay consultants are asking you if you want a free facial, if you want a free makeover, however they word it, and it's a trap. I would like to know how many of you have been approached in that way. Just let us know. No judgment. I fell for it. We've been there. That's how we learn. I'm just curious. And if you haven't, please take this as a warning. Do not fall for it. It is a trap. They will try and sell you stuff and rope you in for life. And you will never get rid of the pink bubble. It will follow you everywhere.
You guys, that was about as simple and unsophisticated as could be. I have no idea where that came from. Maybe my adopted director taught it to me, but there you go. I'm teaching it to you all these years later, thanks to Amy. We'll give her credit. And I did get together with that waitress. Her name was Mary. And all these years later, Mary still every once in a while orders from me. She doesn't live here anymore. And all she orders is satin lips. That's it. But I smile every time I get an order from her because it reminds me of my courage to step out of my comfort zone and just ask. And the worst thing that could have happened was Mary could have said, no, thank you. And I would have said, well, I hope you take it as a compliment that your service was so good. I wanted to do something to serve you. That would have been the worst, scariest thing. But the best thing is I had a customer who at one time was on the Miracle set and, has always bought satin lips over the years. And now that I say this out loud, I still have her information there. Someone I should send some samples of the new Miracle set to. Okay, next. I joined a networking group. If you're not sure what that is, let me tell you. There's an organization called BNI, and it's all over the country. And it stands for Business Networking International. And it's so cool. They only allow one person from every company in the group. And it's for the purpose of doing business together. And so literally each week, everybody would go around the table and they got 60 seconds. They had a little timer for us to introduce ourselves. And it might sound something like this. Hi, I'm Brittany Mitchell with Mary Kay. And this week I'm looking for teachers. Teachers would be a great referral for me this week. We're coming up on the holidays and teachers are going to have some time off. And I would love to pamper teachers with a free facial and makeover. So if any of you know a teacher, that would be an excellent referral for me this week. I'm Brittany Mitchell with Mary Kay. And then the painter in the group would talk. And then the realtor in the group would talk. And they would throw out exactly what I just did. This is where I learned this: triggers. The ones who were successful at getting referrals, like I was, used triggers. The ones who were unsuccessful would say, yeah, so I paint houses, and I love to paint. I've been painting for a long time. And so yeah, that's me. I'm so-and-so the painter. But no, what the painter would say is, I'm Joe with such and such company, and I am looking this week for people who are hosting family for the holidays. Raise your hand if you know someone who's cooking Thanksgiving dinner or hosting family over the holidays. Okay, that would be a great referral for me this week, because very often when people host big groups of family over the holidays, they do some freshen up painting around the house to get ready. And so if you know someone who's having family in or entertaining family over the holidays, that'd be a great referral for me this week. I'm Joe, the beach painter. So in these networking groups, you all go around and get to do your 60-second commercial. And then each week, one person would get to talk for 10 minutes. So if it was my turn, I might talk about the new Miracle Set.
Here we go.
And how even men, not just women, need to take care of their skin. And I would do a deeper dive on some wonderful product. And then, you guys, what would happen is we would have a time where we'd go around and pass out referrals. And it might look like this. I would say, last week, Sherry, you said you were looking for people who were downsizing, whose kids were graduating high school or college this year and might be downsizing. And I've got a friend who's got twins graduating high school, and they were just saying the other day how they're going to sell their big house and downsize when the boys go off to school. And I asked her if you could give her a ring, and she said, sure. So then I would hand her the slip of paper with my friend's name and number on it. So it wasn't just oh yeah, why don't you give these people a call and see? I don't know. We actually were like little armies of consultants out working for one another's businesses. And I got a lot of business from BNI. So if you're interested in joining a BNI group, talk to me and I can tell you more about it. They meet weekly. Some meet over lunch or breakfast.
Please don't join a networking group if you're in an MLM. Coming from somebody who has been part of business networking groups, it is so annoying when you show up and there are MLM consultants there pitching you their opportunity. A lot of people who have started businesses after being in an MLM will also not take kindly to that. It's just predatory behavior. You're not a business owner when you're in an MLM, so don't act like one and come to a business owner's networking event. That's crap.
Just meet at like an office building, and it's usually an hour because they respect everyone's busy. But that networking group really helped me in the beginning of my business. And then I got very good at getting referrals. You guys, when I walked into a party, my mentality was, who am I booking and what referrals am I getting? Because referrals really are just a guest list for someone who's not yet a hostess. That's how I thought of it. If they booked, then I could get with them and we could put together our heads and put together a guest list. But if they didn't want to book, then I looked at the referrals as well, then I'll book these people and then I'll let you know I did. And maybe she'll decide she wants to have a party after all. But either way, you win. So I was very intentional about the words and practicing out loud in front of my mirror, feeling like a dork with a sister consultant. I got really, really, really good at getting referrals and booking from bookings. And that is what perpetuated my business. So I've got some statistics to share with you to prove this to you. I became a director and earned my first career car in 1 year after starting my business.
It's a Mary Kay car.
I started in May 2002, and I was a director and a car driver at the end of May 2003. How? You're thinking. Well, I was too dumb to doubt. If someone told me something worked, I believed them. Listen, I didn't go into something expecting it not to work. Some of you may be putting a snare around your ankle because someone like me gives you an idea and you're thinking, well, I don't know if that'll work for me, but let's just see. Right there, you've lowered your chances of it working for you. If you approach anything with, well, I don't know if this will work. If I'm telling you that I have done it and it has worked and you should try it, then why would you not go, well, I expect it'll work for me too. Brittany said it worked for her. So write down, check your expectation level. I can't tell you how frustrating it is for me when I hear consultants go, well, I mean, that'd be great. I'm glad it worked for you. But, I tried it and it didn't work for me. The first thing I'm going to ask you is, when did you try it? How did that go? How many people did you try it with? You guys, you can't try it with one person. You can't hold a facial and say, well, I didn't get any referrals, so that didn't work. Or I did one vendor event and I didn't get that many names, so that didn't work. Or you get me. Okay. You can't do something one time. So I was told by my director that people booked from bookings. So I believed it and it worked for me. I was told people would give you referrals. And so I expected it and it worked for me. I was too dumb to doubt. Okay. Next thing, I kept going. Did I have disappointments? Sure. Did I have people cancel? Sure. Did I have people reschedule? Yeah. So guess what I learned to do? I learned to overbook. I learned to book more in a week than I wanted. I got to a point where I had so many bookings, I was praying some of them would reschedule. I know, wouldn't that be a fun place to be? But my goal every month, and it can be yours too, was so simple. It was 30 faces in 30 days, period. That was my only goal. That was it. Now, what did I want from that?
Some of that Mary Kay money.
I wanted to get bookings from those bookings. I wanted referrals. I wanted sales. I wanted sharing appointments. But my goal, my activity goal was 30 faces in 30 days. And remember, I didn't have time to mess around, you guys. I was working 60 to 80 hours a week. Okay. And my husband worked overnight hours. So I would be coming in from work and he'd be about ready to go to bed. Not kidding. We communicated through Post-it notes the first year of my business. I would come home from a party at 9 o'clock and he's asleep because he's getting up at 2. So I'd put a little Post-it note on the bathroom mirror. I had a $350 party. And then I'd go to bed. And then he'd get up at 2 to go to work at the TV station. He'd write, "Good job, babe." And when I woke up at 7, I would see that. I didn't have a lot of time. So I made darn sure that if I was leaving my house, I was going to be in front of more persons than just one. That it was going to be ideally a hostess and 5 friends. That was my dream. 6 people at a time, because I only had to do that 5 times a month. That's once a week. Okay, so listen, here are some real numbers. I looked it up tonight. In my first month, I saw 30 faces and I sold $1,362.50. Okay. My second month, I saw 30 faces and I sold $3,425.50. Pretty big increase. Month 3, I saw 30 faces. I sold $2,100. Month 4, I saw 30 faces. Only sold $872, but I was too dumb to doubt, so I kept going. Month 5, 30 faces, $1,047.50. Month 6, 30 faces, $1,438.08. The bottom line is, you guys, in May of 2002, when I started, through May of 2003, when I became a director, 2003, May of 2002 through May of 2003, 1 year, I sold $19,462.58. Did I see 30 faces every month? Not every month.
So I'm pretty sure Mary Kay makes 50%. From the sounds of it, she worked her ass off and didn't take any breaks and profited for the year $10,000 before taxes. This is not a flex. When these MLM companies are out here claiming that they can make full-time income or they can make extra money, that's barely extra money. Barely. That's for the year. And she said that she worked almost all day, every day. Is that worth it? And then she's making it sound like this big flex because the lump sum of money sounds large, right? It doesn't sound like a small amount of money, but the amount of time and over the period of time that she had to do it in, it's not good.
Was it my goal every month? You're darn tootin'.
Darn tootin', Vladimir Putin.
I became a director. I earned my first career car. 8 weeks later, I earned my second career car. 9 months later, I earned the pink Cadillac. I was too dumb to doubt. I just kept going. And so you guys, as we wrap up tonight, I'm going to put it back on gallery view. This is what I want you to know. You may be robbing yourself of the number one ingredient to success, and that is belief. It's belief. And you may not have it yet. You may be like, "Yeah, Brittany, thanks. Can you give me a dose of that?" I sure can. It's called the Huddle every Tuesday night. You guys, I always say that my experience has built a platform of belief on which you can stand until you build belief through your own experience. But I have promised you from the beginning of my directorship that I will never waste your time. I will never tell you to do something that does not work. So if you hear an idea and you've never heard it come out of this mouth, then it might not work. Because if it did, I'd probably have told you to do it. And if I do tell you to do something, then promise me, raise your right hand and promise me you will not approach it with, "Well, we'll see. Worked for her. Who knows if it'll work for me?" I also don't teach you things that don't work for, more than just me. Like if it worked for me, but nobody else, I might not teach it to you because I might think, well, maybe I'm a unicorn where that goes. But I want you to listen to this because I hope this will build some belief and hope too. In 2002, my commission from the company on my personal team was $935. That calendar year, that tax year, $935. Okay. 1 year later, my commission from Mary Kay was $18,000. From $935 to $18,000 in 1 year. What happened? I built a team. Where'd they come from? 30 faces a month. In 2004, my commission was $48,511. 2 years, 48,000. You guys, this doesn't include my sales profit. My highest year so far, 64,000 in commission. That's just what Mary Kay has paid me for mentoring my team and their teams. Now, I'm not telling you these numbers to impress you. I'm telling them to impress upon you That attract number grows, and you can't grow what you don't know. So if you don't know how many leads you're averaging per month, how many booking attempts you're making per month, how many bookings you're getting per month, how many bookings are holding on the original date, how many faces you're seeing, how many referrals you're averaging, how many follow-ups you're booking and holding, what's your per face sales average, what's your per party sales average, how many referrals do you average per face and per party, then let me just give you a jumping off point. I would humbly suggest that if you will do this, you'll never need to change these numbers. 80 leads a month. Just write that down. And I know that may sound like a million to some of you, but it won't be for long. 80 leads a month is 20 a week. You guys, those 20 leads a week will take you to 30 faces a month. And I'm not saying that out of those 80 leads, 30 of them are going to book. I'm saying enough of the 80 will book that when they invite friends and you turn it into a party, it'll turn into 30 faces. Does that make sense?
Okay, can we just address the fact that she did this between 2002 and 2003, and what she did 20 plus years ago is likely not going to work at all for these people, especially because there's so many people now that don't fall for the trap. Why does she think it's going to work again for everybody in almost 24? It's not the same as it was. A lot has changed.
But you got to seed the ground. No farmer plants one seed. Or 5 seeds. If you're seeing 5 faces a month, that's going to be a slow growing field, you guys, and a slow growing customer base. But if you can get in the habit of getting 20 new leads a week, and they can come from anywhere. They could be referrals. They could be warm chats. They could be vendor events. They could be anything you want. Then you're going to get enough to seed that field and end up with 30 faces in your crop. And then here's the best part. Next month's 80 come from this month. See, once you get that initial 80, just get out a piece of notebook paper or poster board and number it 1 through 80. Once you hit 80, you're not going to have it feel as difficult as maybe it did the first time, because you might hold one party with 6 people. And if they each gave you 5 names, that's 30 referrals right there. There's 30 out of your 80 for the month at one appointment. Wow. And so on and so on. The key is, you guys, once you have momentum, it doesn't stop unless you do. So I'm going to end with a prop tonight. This is, and I like literally, I'm always afraid when I unfold it, it's going to crack. This is a very dried up poster board. This is my original DIQ tracking poster from 2003. I saved it all these years, you guys. And I wrote the names of my original team on here, and I crossed off the people who quit, because shockingly, I don't know if you know this, sometimes people quit, and that's okay. But I kept it all these years, and I kept that original poster all the way till we got to 72 people, and I ran out of poster board pretty much. But I just jotted down a couple of numbers that I thought would inspire you. The month before I went into DIQ, I had 6 people on my team. 6. 2 months before I went into DIQ, I had 6 people on my team. 6. In my first month of DIQ, I had 10 people on my team, but only 6 ordered. And we added 6 new, and then we had 16 on our team. And in that month together, we did 25 cents short of 8,000 wholesale together. Did everybody order out of the 16? Only 6, but 6 of us were working. 6 out of 16, that's about a third. And the company says at any given time, a third of your team is doing a little, a third of your team is doing a lot, and a third of your team might be sleeping, doing nothing. And it's true. In my second month of DIQ, 10 people on my team ordered, and we added 4 more, and we had 20. And so out of 20 people, 10 ordered. That's about half. And those 10 people together, we did 9,000 wholesale. And then in our third month of DIQ, we built the rest of our unit, and we finished, and we earned our car. And you guys, there's nothing special about me or my story.
Well, that explains how her pay increased, because she kept recruiting and recruiting and recruiting. Thanks for clarifying that.
Because even in DIQ, you know what I did? 30 faces in 30 days. And when my people asked what they should do, I suggested 30 faces in 30 days. And when they asked me, how many leads do I need? I said, probably 80 a month. That's about 20 a week. And you guys, once you get to where you're just doing that consistently, 30 faces will be 80 leads. 30 faces will be 80 leads. You will probably get to the point. I haven't done a vendor event. I've done 1 vendor event since pre-COVID. 1. It was a bridal fair, and I did it last month, and I got almost 300 leads. So I probably won't do a vendor event for a while, because I'm still working on those. My date book is chock full, and it's a great place to be. But this is what I want you to know. Sometimes, because we don't have the belief we stay stuck in that, oh, I really wish, oh, I really want, oh, I'm really gonna phase. And if that's where you are, I hope tonight has busted some myths, given you some hope, and built some belief, because I want nothing more than to see you shine so bright that your star outshines mine by a mile, that you surpass anything I've ever done. Our unit has sold $5.3 million in 21 years. And I personally have sold $446,000 in Mary Kay product. That's a
Y'all, that again is not a flex, because we know how long she's been in. It's been over 20 years. And if she was in 20 years, we rounded down just to kind of give a little leeway there. She said that she sold $446,000 worth of product in the time she's been in Mary Kay. And I'm pretty sure, like I said, that they get 50% of their commission, which would mean that she has made, before taxes, an average of $11,150 on product sales. So how much more is she making on the backs of her team? Because you can't live off of $11,150 a year in today's climate, unless it's her husband that is making payments on all the things. But $11,150 a year average. Let that sink in. This is not a flex.
only 8% from me. It takes all of us together to get to the circle of excellence and our first top director trip and our next pink Cadillac and all the things that we want. So I hope you'll really focus on building not just customers, but looking for team members, because it's so much more fun with friends. Just like we tell a hostess, it's more fun with friends. The business is more fun with friends too. So thank you for being my friends. Thank you for being my sisters. Thank you for being my unit members. I love you and I believe in you. And I thank you for watching, whether it was live or on the playback. So I'm going to stop the recording and take questions and comments from those of you with us live tonight. And if you're watching the playback, reach out. I would love to hear from you.
I feel like Mary Kay gets by with a lot because, I mean, they're just making income claims. They're doing all the things on their team calls. But anyway, as always, thanks for hanging out with me while I talk a bunch of shit, and I will see you in the next one.